Okay, so I think I'm just gonna start here. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the our first webinar. What's new in ISO 2022-X 2025, together with our consulting manager, Ms. Nicole Cho. So yeah, before we start, I think I'm gonna share about some of the house rules that we are going to apply today. So like usual, if you are not speaking, hopefully you can mute your mic. And I still can see that some people still not opening their cameras. I'm not really sure either you are shy or I don't know what, but please do switch on your camera. We would love to see some of your faces. Thank you very much, Uni, for opening your camera. The others, yeah, you can join with together with Uni to opening your camera. So yeah, don't be shy with each of you. Okay. Um, and lastly, I would like to tell to you if you do have some any kind of questions within the session, then you just can drop your questions in the chat box, and we will be answering one by one the questions during the Q&A session. We can go next. Okay, so before we start, maybe some of you have not know about us, about Connext Consulting. So let me introduce to you who is actually Connext Consulting. So as we all know right now that we're living in the unpredictable and constantly shifting and businesses that being challenged in news in ways in every day. In this kind of environment, we simply ticking the box for compliance is not enough for anyone. To truly succeed, organizations need to go further, embracing excellence, driving innovation, and building sustainability into their DNA. And that's where Connex Consulting comes in. What we do is actually helping businesses in all sizes navigate the complexity. So our expertise cover ISO standards, business management, and ESG integration. But we don't just provide theory, we offer practical solution through our consultation, training, auditing, and tailored strategies that fit your organization's unique needs. So whether you are just a small company or just getting started, you can um, or you are a large enterprise that you are looking to strengthen your systems, we are here to support you with a holistic approach that not only ensures compliance, but also positions for your long-term success. And these are some of the our services that we have. We are focusing on consultancy, training, auditing, and smart cloud F&B integrated solutions. Okay, so this is another thing about Connex Consulting. We have like more than 300 clients with 100 plus impactful projects and 10 years experience. And we also have done several 4 plus events as subject matters experts. Now that we are going to inviting our speaker today, which is Miss Nicole Cho. So let me introduce about her just a bit. So Miss Nicole Cho is actually an ISO consultant and trainer for food safety focus. She is specialized in food safety related standards such as ISO 9001, ISO or FSSC 22000, GMP, and HACCP. She also accredited trainer for HRD Corp. She is also an auditor, an ASB, HACCP auditor, and lastly, she is also CQR or IRCA FSSC 22000 V6 FSMS lead auditor. So, as we will beginning our session, let me inviting to you Miss Nicole Cho today. Hi.
Thank you very much, Fazzy, for the introductions. Good evening, everyone. So I hope that all of you have taken your lunch. My name is Nicole, the consulting manager at Connext Consulting, and I will be your speaker for the next 1 hour. So I can see some familiar names here today, and it is always a pleasure to have, to have you join us. And for those of you who are new, welcome, welcome. And okay, so without further ado, together we will unpack the latest update in ISO 22002, 2015, and explore what these changes mean for your business and day-to-day operation. And of course, most importantly, talk about how can you actually prepare for this transition with confidence. So here, this is what we will be covering today. All right. So firstly, it will be a very short introduction to the new ISO 22002 series, followed by why this revision actually matters. And then next, the key changes in ISO 22002. And after knowing the key changes, what are the following steps for this transition? And finally, time for an Q&A session. So along the way, I'll also run a quick poll. So don't worry, this won't be me just, talking the whole day. All right, so it's everyone ready for this session? Can you just give me, a love emoji if let's say you are ready for that? Let me check. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, you can fully utilize the emoji at the toolbar there. Okay, so no emoji, does it mean that you are not ready? So those that you need, okay, you are nodding your head. Okay, so for those, I hope you are still following us, okay, because this is very, very important part. Thanks, Shazini, for leaving a emoji in the chat box. Okay, so let's start now. All right. Okay, so before we move on, I'm going to launch a quick poll on your screen. So where is it? Okay. Okay, can you see this question? Which certification does your company currently hold? Okay, I'll hope everyone will answer the poll because it will kind of affect on the presentation later. Okay, I will be closing the poll soon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll end the poll now. Okay, most of you are actually FSSC 22000 version 6 certified. And out of 4 is actually ISO 22000 and 1 is HACCP and GMP certified. Okay, for FSSC, later I will tell you, why is it so important whether your company is actually certified with ISO or FSSC 22000. So thank you so much for answering the poll. Stop. Okay. Okay. So let's get started. On July 29th of July 2025, ISO actually released the updated version of PRP, okay, which is part of the ISO 22002 series. And there are actually a couple of important things to take note. All right. So the first one, the name actually has changed. I'm not too sure whether you realize this. Previously, your PRP was actually named as ISO/PS, right? Then 22002, dash X. The X here is representing your industry. So right now, the TS, this two word TS, technical spec, has been removed. It has become ISO 22002 only. Okay, now let me tell you why it has actually removed the OTS suffix. Okay, so instead of ISO TS 22002-1-2-3 or -4, we are now simply just ISO 22002. Okay, so in the beginning, when they created or developed TS, okay, we call it as a technical specification, it is usually published when the subject is not mature enough for a full ISO international standard. But it is still required to be there to fill in the gap. So now, after more than 15 years of using, worldwide, it has gained maturity and consensus. That's why in 2025 revision, the TS is actually removed and now published as the full ISO international standard. All right. And secondly, there are two new standard has been, I'll say added. Okay. One is retail and wholesales, and another one general, I'll say general standard. We call it as the uh, ISO 22002-100. All right. Apologize if let's say my word is a bit looks like a doctor writing. So for apology for that. But later I will still emphasizing on the standard as well. Okay. And finally, the farming standard. Okay, the farming standard, if let's say you can see, it is still remain as a TS. So only this technical spec, okay, for farming has remained unchanged as for now. Okay. All right. I'm going to launch another poll. Okay. Because this will also affect on which standard or which guideline you need to refer to. So let me launch another poll. Okay, can you see the question? Which industry does your organization belong to? All right. Let me see. Okay, I am going to close the poll soon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to end this poll. Okay, based on the result, okay, almost 13. 13 of you is from food manufacturing, one of you for packaging, one for retail, and another one for transport. Okay, so there's no one from animal feed farming and catering. Okay. Okay, why is it so important here? Okay, remember just now I mentioned from the previous slide, there are two new standard has been actually added in this series. And these two new family member is, the first one will be -7, which is under retail and wholesale, and another one -100, prerequisite program on food safety. And this one still, there is no update at all. So as you can see here from the standard, there is no TS/TS anymore, only farming. Okay, so for this, if let's say you are in food manufacturing organization, you need to refer to -1. If let's say you are packaging, you need to refer to -4. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is depend on which industry you are at. Okay, and now the -100. Okay, this is so-called the new prerequisite program on food safety. You can think of this -100 as the foundation. The foundation or the baseline of PRP that every organization should look at no matter which sector you belong to. Okay, let me repeat again. So regardless which sector you belong to, whether it's part 2, whether it's catering, whether it's packaging, you need to refer to part 100. Okay, later I will talk more about that. All right, so why this revision actually matter? Okay, why suddenly change PRP? So there are three main key reasons. If let's say you still remember or you are familiar with the previous old technical specification, do you realize that there are quite a bit of repeated general prerequisite requirement? Okay, there are a lot of overlapping in terms of the wordings, in terms of the requirement. Hence, it causes quite a bit of confusion and inconsistency. So the solution is to create a foundation of PRP, which is the Part 100. Okay, the Part 100 that is applicable to all sectors. All right, so this is the first main reason. Okay, before I move on to the second reason, any one of you still remember when did the previous revision of ISO 22000 was published? Anyone? ISO 22000. When was the previous revision? Any guess here? Let me see. 2018 is the latest revision, but before 2018, anyone still remember when was the previous revision? Okay. Any guess? Let me see. Okay. 2008, 2018. Okay, 2018 is the latest one, yeah? I mean, before 2018, when was the previous one? Okay, 2008, no, but it's around that era, I would say, before 2008. Okay, Yung K Chong. Okay, yes, 2005. Okay, the previous revision for ISO 22000 was actually 2005. And do you still remember for food manufacturing, your ISO TS was 2009, right? So actually most of the technical spec was aligned to ISO 22000 2005 version. Okay, most of the TS was aligned with this version, not the 2018 version. Hence, they think that, okay, in order to support right now and to align with ISO 22000 2018 version, they have to also upgrade the PRP, okay, so that they can align with the latest ISO 22000 2018 revision. Okay, that is the second reason. And the third reason, okay, for over the past 15 years, we have seen a lot of issues, right, related to food fraud, food defense, and of course, food loss and food and waste has become, I would say, more and more critical and raise a lot of concern. So now, food loss and waste isn't just a company issue, okay? It is really tied to the SDG goal, which aim to cut the global food waste in half by 2030. So I also want to contribute, right? So I also want to align and contribute to this goal. Hence, they also incorporate food loss and waste in this latest standard. So, and that's exactly why we are seeing these changes in the standard to reflect today's, I would say, challenges and priorities. All right, so let's move. Am I going too fast, guys? Before I go to the key changes, I just want to know, is the speed, everything is okay? If let's say it's okay, can you just drop in the chat box or put the thumbs up? Okay, all right. Okay, I shall continue then. So far, so good. All right. So now let's move to the heart of this webinar. I know every one of you attend this webinar because of this part, right? So let's move to the key changes. Okay, I'm not going to throw a very long checklist for you, but I'm going to walk you through on the changes. So first one, Okay, right now, because of these new changes, you need to consider two standards for your food safety management system. The first one will be this book, like just now I mentioned, ISO 22002-100. We call it as the base standard. Yeah, let's call it as a base standard. Okay, let me write it here, the base standard. So this base standard actually cover all the general requirements that applicable to all sectors. Okay, as you can see here, the description here, it mentioned prerequisite program on food safety part 100, requirement for food, feed, and packaging supply chain. Okay, so this is basically the base standard applicable to all sector. And another book that or another standard that you need to refer to is basically your sector specific standard. Okay, we call it as a sector specific standard. So basically, this is relevant to your industry. So for example, if let's say you are food manufacturing, then you need to refer to this book -1. Okay, so if let's say you are food packaging, you need to refer to -4. So you need to use these two books at the same time. Part 100 does not cancel out any of the sector specific standard. You still need to use both of it. So first, identify your sector first, which industry you are in. If let's say you are not sure, refer to this. Okay, refer to this slide. If let's say you are not too sure. Okay, identify your sector. Once you identify the sector, you will know which sector specific standard that you need to refer, plus part 100 you need to refer. So remember that you need to use two standard. So let's zoom in. Okay, let's zoom in this book, part 100. Change the laser. Okay, so let's zoom in into this part 100 guidance. Okay, if I lay out this ISO 22002-100 requirement for you, you will see all these requirements. Okay, so there are total 16 clauses. Okay, 16 clauses. All right, so can just like a glance, can anyone share with me, is there any new requirement that you notice in this part 100? Okay, it was not existed in your previous, maybe it was not existed in your previous ISO TS. Anyone? Did you notice anything which is very new? Let me see. Clause. Okay, Hardy mentioned clause 10, management of purchase material. Existing, you do have management of purchase material, talking about the supplier. Vivian, clause 16. Okay, I guess you are referring. Okay, clause 16, food defense is not new, but food fraud is new. Okay, let me see. Okay, 16, clause 9. Clause 9, equipment suitability and maintenance. There are, I would say, sub clauses which is new. Okay. Maybe the wording, how it words it, you find it very new. But actually it's not very new lah for this clause. Okay, there's another one. There is another one. Anyone mention? Let me see. No one actually mentioned that. Okay, there's another one, guys. 15. No. Recycling. Okay. The is it? Okay. Recycling. Other than recycling, what else? What do you think this one? FLW. Anyone? Yes. Thank you, Mimi. FLW, which is food loss and waste. So in the previous, any of the previous technical spec, there is no food loss and waste at all. But of course, for those already certified FSSC 22001, this is nothing new for you lah. But if let's say you are planning to upgrade, or you are currently ISO 22000 certified, so this is something new to you, FLW. So FLW is representing food loss and waste. Okay, so thank you very much. So basically, if let's say from a first glance on the requirement, food loss and waste, recycling, and food fraud is basically a new requirement here. Okay, and if let's say those FSSC 20000 certified company, the clauses, there are minor changes in terms of the clause number. So you also need to take note on that. So basically, I think starting from clause 7, pest control, after that, the clause number has changed. So please do remember to also change your document, yeah? Okay, so next, oops. Okay, so let's briefly go through at the clauses that has been strengthened or expanded. Okay. Okay. Today, since this is just a 1 hour webinar, we are not going through, every sub clauses here, because what will be all those in detail we will be covering in our full training, where we will map out each old requirement and the new one with practical example lah. Okay, so yeah, this will be more like a general one, but you can still ask me a question. Okay, like just now, based on the poll just now, right? Most of you actually from food manufacturing. So hence I have included a comparison between ISO TS 22002-1 and ISO 22002-100. Okay, for those from other industry, packaging, transport, and retail, don't worry. Okay, I'm not showing favoritism. I'm not pilih kasih. I don't pilih kasih. It's just that, this time food manufacturing folks outnumber you today. So think of it as me giving them some extra homework to think about after the webinar. So jokes aside, basically I would like to give you, my objective to show this comparison is basically to give you a better visual, okay, a better visual when there is a comparison between two standards, so that you know that how big is the gap, between the previous ISO technical spec and the latest ISO 22000-100. Okay, so let's start with the first one, okay, the building. So let's start with the site. The new standard is actually much more prescriptive, okay, in terms of zoning, internal and external premise, as well as the drainage rules. Previously, in terms of the building, the site, the layout, it was really focusing on the internal, right? Internal building and drainage. The drainage requirement maybe is just a 1 sentence requirement or 2 sentence requirement. So this time, I would say it can emphasize quite a bit in terms of your drainage. Okay, if let's say you look at the requirement and compare from site to site. And there are also a layout emphasizing on you need to indicate recycling layout if let's say it's applicable to you, or reuse layout. You need to show it in the present in your layout as well. So this is something new in terms of the building and layout. So let's move to the utilities. Okay, as we work inside your production, think about your utilities, like for example, water, ice, steam, compressed air. Okay, in the older version, the focus was mainly on microbes only. Okay, microbiological requirement. But in the new revision, they actually added on chemical and physical monitoring criteria. So if let's say you are using steam, okay, in direct contact with your food, or compressed air in your packaging, you need to also identify what are the physical criteria or chemical criteria that you will check. So basically, in this latest requirement, they enhance in terms on your monitoring and verification. Okay, so next one, the waste. Okay, The old requirement, it was just a simple waste disposal clause. Okay, so I would say that in this requirement, in this waste requirement, there is a big change. Okay, so for the first time, I'll say for the first time, the standard actually introduced food loss and waste management. So it is not just disposal anymore. Now you are expected to think about recycling, reuse, and align with your sustainability goal as we walk through the production. Okay, so these are the, I would say these two major or a big change for this requirement. For packaging, yeah, just to add on, since we have a participant from a food packaging company, food loss, in this PRP, right, even though they did mention food loss and waste, they are also mentioned about how you dispose your packaging when it comes to when your packaging has labels, when your packaging have trademark, how are you going to properly dispose it? So this is a very small part for food packaging company. Okay, so let's move to the equipment. Okay, for this new clause for equipment, right? Last time it was just mentioning about preventive and corrective maintenance, right? So it was a basic maintenance activity. But right now, it enhanced by including the hygienic design. Okay, so I would say this new requirement, they are not just satisfied as in like, okay, your equipments, no longer just to sit in your plant, look expensive, do maintenance only, but your equipment has to prove that it is actually protect the food safety. So what does it mean that? Okay, so like example here, I mentioned about the equipment capability. Is your equipment capable to manage or protect food safety or not? So example, blast freezer. Okay, take a blast freezer for example. So right now, it is not enough that it just blow cold air. What matter is whether it can bring your product down to the safe core temperature within the right amount of time. So blast freezer, we all know that, okay, it can reduce the temperature less than -18 or up to -30 degrees Celsius, right? In a very short period of time, maybe 4 hours, okay? So right now, we need to evaluate, okay, evaluate the temperature and the duration. Why? Because the faster it cold, the less chance of bacteria have to go. And ideally, the freezer also has, a system to record the temperature during the process. So if let's say the auditor asks, asks you, hey, how do you know the blast freezer is cold? So don't just say, oh, trust me, it's cold, okay? There's no record. So right now you need to show them the data. How long, for example, how long it takes to freeze a standard batch X amount. So you need to do some validation study as well to show your equipment capability. Okay, this is something that has been strengthened in this requirement. Okay, so let's move on to supplier and materials. Okay, so right now you can't just, accept incoming materials blindly. Okay, so they must be verified to meet your specification before you use them in the production. So the verification can be done in different ways. So for example, like inspection, physical inspection, testing, and documentation review by, like, for example, checking COA. So something new about this part is they actually put in DOC. Okay, anyone can guess what is DOC here? Anyone? Let me see in the chat box. Document of conformance. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. So basically, DOC represent document of the conformance or declaration of conformance. So basically, it's a document that conform the spec or regulation. For if I think maybe some of the companies you do use here, for example, I'll say food packaging company. So sometimes your supplier can't give you a COA. What they can give you is DOC, like a declaration letter. Example, food grade declaration letter or declaration letter to show that this packaging is suitable for food, is food safe, is food grade. So basically, this is that letter. Of course, I believe some of the auditor mentioned that, oh, the declaration letter is not sufficient. You need to have some supporting document, right? Because everyone can declare without, any evidence. So, you can also have an add-on. If let's say the supplier can't give you COA, right? What you can, I would say, do is you can have DOC plus maybe a test report, for example, for packaging wise. Okay, packaging wise, maybe you can ask your supplier to do chemical migration tests to support what they have actually declared in the letter. Okay, so this is, I would say, they have introduced DOC this requirement. Okay, so the next one will be storage, warehouse, and transport. Okay, last time, the previous one was a general warehouse requirement. Okay, they mentioned about the incoming inspection. Now, something new in this latest requirement is they they specifically mention about dispatch. Okay. Yeah, you'll be surprised that actually the old ISO TS, when you check, right, there is no dispatch requirement or outgoing inspection requirement there. Okay, but I know that most of the company actually doing that lah. But if let's say you're talking about requirement, they don't have any outgoing or dispatch requirement. Right now, they have actually included. Okay, so the standard require that every logistic unit, whether you are using truck, whether you are using container, van, okay, it must be inspected before dispatch. Okay, here's an important point. Many company you will reuse, right? Reuse the same vehicle for different product. Okay, that's fine. You can still use to deliver different product, but the catch is the vehicle must be inspected and cleaned between load. If let's say you detect there is a risk of contamination, and this can't be just a verbal promise that, oh, I do clean, our vehicle, our lorry. The cleaning and inspection must be documented. Okay, so this is something new in this requirement. So now next, let's look at the measure for prevention of cross-contamination. Okay, in the old ISO TS, the focus was mainly on microbiological, allergen, and physical. Okay, can you guess what is missing here in the old one? Okay, last time was focused on micro, allergen, and physical. Okay, what is missing here? Anyone want to guess? Okay, let me see the chat box. Thank you very much, chemical. Yeah, you'll be surprised actually the old one don't have any chemical, I would say specifically chemical contamination requirement. They do mention, okay, they do mention about how you control. For example, your chemical, you need to segregate with your product. Okay, they do mention that your chemical need to be food grade. Okay, they did mention that, but then specifically one clause on chemical contamination was not existed in the previous one. Okay, so here in ISO 22002-100, they mentioned about chemical contamination specifically. Okay, let me show. Okay, chemical contamination. Okay, but for this requirement, right, you need to refer to your sector specific standard. Okay, let me repeat again. For this requirement, specifically this requirement, you need to refer to your sector specific requirement. In -100, they do have this requirement, but then it was a very general one. Okay, remember this requirement is a base requirement, so you still need to refer back to your sector specific standard. Okay, and allergen control is also enhanced, okay, meaning a clearer requirement in terms of zoning, how you zone, label, and handling practice to prevent accidental allergen exposure. Okay, so this is something special about this course. Okay, let's move to the cleaning part. Okay, for the cleaning, the new standard require a documented cleaning and disinfection program. And here's the key. You must show the proof of the effectiveness. Okay, proof of effectiveness. And which means your cleaning or your disinfecting activities need to able to deliver the intended result. And did you notice that I mentioned disinfection, not sanitizing? Okay, the terminology has actually changed here. Okay, last time they mentioned about cleaning and sanitizing, but right now, sanitizing, the word sanitizing was actually replaced with disinfecting. So the terminology has actually emphasized a stronger and more verified approach in this clause. Okay, so this is something new for cleaning. Okay, before I fry your brain cells more, let me launch a poll first. Okay, let me, all of you try to relax first. Okay, let me launch a poll first before I move on to the next requirement. Okay. Okay, this is a quiz. Okay, which of this is a new or greatly expanded requirement in ISO 22002-100 compared to the previous one? Okay. Okay, very fast, you guys. Let me see. There are 30 participants. Okay, I need to see not just 16 participants who reply this question. Okay, so I'm going to end this quiz within 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Look at the question again now. Which of these is a new, okay, and greatly expanded requirement? Okay. Those who reply cleaning, personal hygiene, okay, that one is not new. Okay, of course they do, enhance the requirement. Okay, but the previous requirement, they do have personal hygiene and cleaning. Okay, they just enhance this time. Okay. Yep. Congrats on those who answer food loss and waste. Okay, let me launch another one. Okay, this one. Okay. 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 The next question. Okay, which method best demonstrate cleaning effectiveness under ISO 22002-100? Is it visual? Is it using ATP microbiological testing? You smell it? Or rely on staff feedback? Okay, I'm going to close this poll soon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, luckily no one says smell test lah. Okay, all right. So yes, the answer is microbiological testing. Okay, stop sharing. Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. Okay, pest control. So talking about the pest control, right? Last time, I would say the pest control, I won't say it's a major changes, but then for those organizations who are using external pest control provider, right? Which I think most of you actually using external pest control provider, your organization still need to hold the responsibility to review the report and take action. Because I'll say this new requirement actually is quite good, as in like, I have seen companies like, fully rely on the external pest control, but they do not internally review the result. Okay, so right now the new clause actually asks you to hold the accountability to review and check and take action. So outsourcing doesn't remove your accountability. Okay, so this is something new or emphasized in terms of this clause pest control. And they also emphasize on the pesticide control as well. So if let's say your external pest control provider are using pesticide, right? You need to have a documented information, not just on the type, not just on the quantity, concentration, but also need to emphasize on who apply it, how was the result, and how do you actually handle the affected product. If let's say when they do spraying, right, they are terkena on the affected product. So how are you going to, you know, I would say, take action on that product? So they emphasize on that in this clause. Okay. And next would be the personal hygiene and employee facility. So for the first time, it expanded its monitoring health status. So last time it was just a general one, but today in the new requirement, they kind of expanded. Okay, what example of the symptoms? So not just flu fever, but they give more example in terms of what are the symptoms or diseases that you should take note about. Okay, so this means that organization need to be more proactive, okay, in checking whether employee are fit to work, especially for those who are handling food. And they have also enhanced in terms of the uh, visitor and external provider hygiene control, okay, by introducing a new sub-clauses for it. Uh, and I would say, okay, this one is maybe something which is a good news, a good news to you, because this new standard actually is more, I would say, flexible by putting a statement that, the requirement that they put is, if not feasible to remove any personal item, control measures shall be taken. So this is actually designed for those, we have some, I would say, some religious jewelry or accessory that maybe some of your employee, they couldn't take off or reluctant to take off because of the religion issue. Okay, I would say concern are not issue, religion concern. So basically, they want you to actually I'll say have a SOP or tell the auditors or have a control measure in place in the organization. What are the control actually in place to control all these personal items that cannot be removed by the staff? Okay, so I will say this part is actually more flexible for this new requirement. All right. Okay, and the next one, okay, for product and consumer information. In the previous standard, the requirement, I would say, it's quite general lah. Basically, is to make sure, the product are labeled and the info are sufficient, right? I think it's a two-sentence requirement in the previous standard. And right now, they basically emphasize on what to include. Okay, their focus is actually on providing information what actually help customer to make informed choices. Like for example, they did mention that what you need to put in the information or on the label. Example, how you handle, how you display, how you store, how you use the product safely and correctly. So this is what they enhance under product and consumer information. All right, the last slide, okay, for the requirement. Okay, finally, I would say the so-called 50% of the new requirement here. Okay, for defense, actually last time they do have one course on defense and bioterrorism. So right now they have another one on food fraud. So these two are two separate courses, food defense and food fraud. Okay, two separate courses. And you are expected, okay, to run a threat and vulnerability assessment now. So last time, there's no assessment. You don't have to do assessment. It's more like a control measure, okay? A control measure on your security. So right now, it's more towards your FSSC 20,000 requirement already. You need to do a threat and vulnerability assessment, and you need to put in place the mitigation action. So the good thing is in this standard, right, they have actually introduced Annex A and B. So let me show you Annex A and B. So basically, they give you example, okay, example on how you mitigate in terms of sabotage, okay, how do you mitigate food fraud issues? So they actually provide this example for you in this book, okay, so you can have a look on it. Okay, so okay, this one I want you to pay attention. Remember just now I mentioned the total clauses for ISO 22002-100. How many clauses, guys? Do you still remember? How many clauses in total for this part 100? Let me see. 16. Okay, thank you very much. Everyone pay attention. Okay, then rework is actually clause 17. Okay, why I say it's 17? Okay, total clause, let me go back to the previous slide. Okay, as you can see, part 100, actually total clause is 60. But rework, okay, rework that clause is actually clause 17. And this clause is 17, where can you find? It's actually at your sector specific standard. Okay, in your sector specific standard. I repeat again. Okay, it's not in your -100, it's in your sector specific standard in your this book. Let me show you again. Okay, sector specific. Okay, this book is not in this book. So that's why I mentioned you need to refer these two books at the same time because they are additional requirement in this sector specific standard, but not in part 100. All right. Okay, so let's move to the last, sorry, this one. Okay, but the good news is there is no changes. I've compared both, no changes at all. Okay, so this is something good for you. And one thing interesting, okay, about this is what I noticed is in the previous ISO TS, right, you have a product recall, right? Product recall requirement in your previous ISO TS. And this time they actually remove it. Okay, remove it. It doesn't mean that it's not important, lah. Just now remember I mentioned the objective of having this part 100 is to harmonize. ISO 22000 actually require a detailed recall procedure already. So they think that, I mean, they consider that lah. So the PRP standard, they do not want to duplicate it. Hence, they actually remove it, okay, for this product recall procedure. You still need to comply, because in ISO 22000, you still have it, okay? Just that they remove from the TS, okay? All right. Let me see. Okay, do we still have time? Okay, we still got some time. Let me move on to the next one, which is who needs this then? Who needs ISO 22002-100? For those companies who are certified to ISO 22000, it is not mandatory. Okay, you can choose to adopt it voluntarily, and it does, because it does help to strengthen your PRP lah. But technically, you can still be certified to ISO 22000 without it. Okay, on the other hand, for those companies who are FSSC 22000 certified, ISO 22002-100 is actually mandatory. Okay, why? Because FSSC is a GFSI recognized scheme. They will go through ISO 22002 and your sector specific PRP, okay, line by line and clause by clause. So any gap is basically a non-conformity. Okay, now your question is, when is the due date? So right now, there is no official migration deadline yet. Okay, we do not receive any official news from the FSSC 22000. And very likely, and this is our predictions lah, very likely you will be expecting an update on the FSSC 20000 version 6, okay, based on the past record. Perhaps a new revision of 6.1 coming soon, but we do not know when. Okay, so this is what we predict lah, version 6.1 might be coming soon or version 7. We do not know yet. Okay. All right. So now you know what change and where is the challenges are. The next question is how do you actually prepare your company to handle this confidently? So to make this easier for you, I have designed 4 simple steps to prep you for this transition. So starting by identify which ISO 20002 apply to your operation. Okay, for example, if you are in food manufacturing, then part 1, okay, plus part 100, okay. And if you are in catering, you need to comply to part 2 plus 100. Okay, this step is about clarity, knowing exactly which standard apply and avoid any confusion later. So identify the scope first. That is step 1. And then discuss with your food safety team and management. Okay, is there any resources that you require? Okay, next, do a clause by clause gap assessment. Compare the new requirement against with your current PRP. For example, if let's say your existing waste management, right, it's only talk about disposal, then you quickly spot on the gap. Just now, Nicole mentioned about, okay, there's a new requirement of food loss and waste management. This is where you create your action list. What's already in place, what need to be updated, and what is missing. Okay, this is step 2. Step 3. Once you know the gap, it's time for you to update your document, your SOP. Remember just now I mentioned clause number has changed. Revise that. Train your people. So this standard is only as good as the people implementing it. Okay, that is step 3. And finally, review and check through internal audit. So this is your chance to see if there's any new courses, are really working. And then take those findings to management review so that resources can be allocated properly. Whether, you need any new monitoring equipment, any extra training or process changes. So report and look what are the improvement needed for based on the audit finding. All right. I still got 2 minutes. So I a bit I'll say I think I might have some delay, 5 to 10 minutes delay. So to wrap things up, okay, the ISO 22002 series has gone through, I would say, quite a major update. Okay, with ISO 22002-100 now acting as the common foundation across all the sector. And remember, the transitioning doesn't have to feel overwhelming. If you really take it step by step, like identify, assess, implement, and review. So it is completely doable. So on that note, let's open the floor for questions. So feel free to drop them in the chat or unmute if let's say you have questions. So I'll be happy to go deeper if let's say you have any topic that, on the questions that we covered today. Okay. So is there any question that I missed just now? Or you have any questions, you can unmute and ask.
Yes, we do have actually by Muhammad Nurhadi.
Okay.
So he asks, is the changes in ISO or TS 22002-X will affect the FSSC 22000 certified? And is the new standard has been released for review?
Sorry, is this second question is, can you
The
repeat
new
the second?
standard has been released for review.
Okay. To answer the first question, definitely it affects because if let's say you still remember for FSSC 20000 certified company, right? There are 3 standards you need to refer to. The first one will be the FSSC additional requirement. The second one will be ISO 22000 2018, right? And the third one is your PRP. So right now the PRP is changed. Okay, you are no longer need to refer to the previous ISO TS. the standard, you need to refer to ISO 22002-100 plus the sector specific standard. Okay, so total, technically, I would say 4 books, 4 standard you need to refer to. So did I answer your question, Hadi? Mm. Yep. Hadi, if let's say I answer your questions, you can just okay, great. So how about others? Mm.
Let's ask your question.
Mm. Or it's clear enough that you don't have question to ask me.
Sorry, can I on my mic to ask question?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, I want to ask because our company is ISO 22000
Mm.
certified.
Mm.
Then we are trader,
Mm.
transport, and also storage.
Mm.
So for this ISO, the sector, right, we
Mm.
have to comply part 5 and part 7 or just part 5?
Okay. Let me go back, okay, for this. Oops. You are okay. You just now you mentioned you are ISO 22000 certified company, right?
Yes.
Okay, you have retail, you have transport.
Yeah. Actually, we
Okay.
are trader also. So trader is under retail, right?
Yeah, traders under retail. Yes. Okay, go back to your major business. What will be your main business? Is it trading?
Yes.
Okay, we will look at the main business first. If let's say it's trading, then yes, you need to comply to the -7. Okay, maybe I just give you an example. For example, for food manufacturing, right? The main business is manufacturing, okay, food. But they do also have transport activity. They do also storage activity. But that is not, it doesn't mean that they need to comply -1 and -5. They will refer to what is your core business or core activity. So if let's say your core activity is manufacturing, then you comply to food manufacturing. So like just now you mentioned, the core activities is actually trading. Then you need to refer to -7 instead of -5.
Okay, understood.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. You're welcome. Okay, any other questions? Let me see chat box. Okay, Ziding. Okay, we are going to have FSSC 22000 audit soon. For this year, is it okay we still comply with ISO TS? I will say, from auditor expectation, I don't think they expect you to comply everything so soon. So from my experience, usually for the transition, they will always give you 1 year, even though there is no official announcement yet. But if let's say go by the norms, you still have 1 year to have this transition. So I'll say still okay if let's say you comply with ISO TS. Shafika. Okay, equipment capability. The validation study applicable for new equipment only or existing equipment related to food safety, or which one we should focus first? Okay. For the equipment capability, based on the requirement, they do not mention whether this is only applicable for new or existing equipment. Okay. But what you can focus is not new or old, but you focus on those equipment that is affect your CCP. Okay, like for example, your metal detector. Okay, this basically is to control or manage your any metal pieces in your product, right? But the position of the metal pieces, have you actually tested? If let's say you put on top of the product, inside the product, or below the product, is it all able to detect it? So what is the sensitivity? for example. So I think maybe what you need to focus right now is not is it old or new, but focus on those equipment that could impact your CCP, not just metal detector, cooking temperature, let's say. You have all these equipment that can monitor the temperature. I think you should focus on that first. Hope I answer your question, Shabika. No problem. You're welcome. No more questions? Mm. So if let's say you don't have any question, I'll pass back to you, Betsy.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Nicole, for having and delivering very insightful session with us together. And I really hope everyone learned something new and also your concern or questions have been solved for today. So, because you guys have been joining with us this afternoon, we would like to give you a special offer for everyone who joining with us today. So we can help you and we can support you by having the ISO 22002-X 2025 transition in-house training, where we will having class by class walkthrough of ISO 22002-100 and ISO 22002-X. We also can offering you some practical guidance to prepare for your next audit and hands-on workshop with 200 ringgit instant rebate. Just special offer for those who joining with us this afternoon. But again, this 200 ringgit instant rebate just limited to the first three organizations. So better hurry to secure your slot today by um, scan the QR code here, or I will send you guys the link on the chat box. So this is a special offer for everyone. You can enjoy this special instant rebate that we offer to you. Okay, I think that's the last session for today. We also will be sharing the recording by email for you to rewatch again and learning by yourself again. But before we are leaving this room together, I really hope that we can take a moment for a while to take a picture together. You can open your camera. We would love to see you guys. Just a minute. We want to capture this moment together. And to Miss Nicole, could you stop sharing the screen? Thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
Okay. For everyone, please come and open your camera. We will. Um, okay, now I can see everyone. It's okay, Siti Noor. Everyone else would like to taking this moment together. Okay, anyone else? Mm. Okay, then I will take the picture in 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time.
Okay.
One,
Freestyle?
2, and 3. Okay, great. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you
Okay,
very
thank you
much
so
for
much,
joining with us
everyone.
today, and I hope you guys learned something new. See you in the next webinar. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks. Thanks for the love.